Hi, welcome to ClairelyCo. Today's video is showing the different types of things you can put in resin and some of the examples of pieces that I've made in resin. So first I'm going to show you a few different types of flowers that I have dried. It is possible to do fresh ones, but a lot of times they have really weird chemical reactions, and so the flowers turn brown. So it's not very pretty. I can post pictures or another video of some of my fails that I've tried, but the dried flowers I felt like worked really well. They don't lose a lot of their color because it's already kind of dried, and so there's not a lot to chemically react with the resin. So these pieces I made over a course of 2 days. So the first day I put the resin in and the flour, got all the bubbles out, and then the second day I came back and coated with a second coat of resin to get the back part of the flower that was still sticking out covered. I did it in two parts because a lot of times if you don't do this, the flowers or whatever you place in your resin will float and they'll float up to the surface of the resin, so you don't kind of get that look having your piece actually down in the resin where you can see it. It's just kind of floating on the surface. So that's why I broke them into 2 days. Another part that was important was trying to kind of start in the middle of the flowers and pat outward towards the edge of the petals to get air bubbles out as much as I could. Now, with these roses, I really tried to concentrate on getting the petals out and kind of less crunched from how they had been flattened when they dried. And I feel like it actually worked really well. So this one, again, I broke up into a 2-day making period. So this first day was just really getting them in there nice and bubble free. And then day 2, I came back and did another coat on top. With the second coat, again, just making sure that the resin is covering everything completely and that it's completely submerged, because anything that is sticking out will stick out when it's dried, which you can again do another coat, but sometimes when you do coats you can tell kind of a slight separation in where they meet up, but that doesn't always happen. So next I did some pansies, and this is one of the yellow pansies that I placed in resin. And so again, it's really nice that this one didn't chemically mess up, because a lot of times yellow flowers will turn brown. So I'll do a video where I show kind of fresh flowers versus dry flowers, because that's always interesting to see the difference. So that's my pansy. So here is a rosebud from the same plant as the open roses. So again, with my second coat, it's basically just pouring it on and then running a torch over it to get out the top bubbles, which again you do by not stirring too much and creating too many bubbles in the first place. And you don't want to torch it too much, because if you get the resin too hot, it will adhere to your molds and will actually not come off when you're trying to get them out. It sticks to them and will rip the molds. Now, these were playing around with different pigments and alcohol ink. These are just some Let's Resin pigments that you mix in with resin, and they're very concentrated, so you don't have to use a lot. A few drops and you stir it in and you'll have like a very deep color. But here, kind of for what I'm doing, I was adding more. Now, this is alcohol ink, so it's a different compound. It's actually ink that is made of alcohol with the pigmentation in it. So that's why it does that chemical reaction where it expands like that. And white pigment is heavier, so white pigment will often pull down towards what is the bottom of your piece. So the part that's on the desk, it will suck down that way as it dries, which can create some really cool effects. This one I really wanted to try just kind of seeing if I could get the different primary colors to mix together in an interesting way where I had kind of a rainbow effect. So I'm mixing the colors together a little bit just to help them mix a little bit more for what I'm doing with trying to make the rainbow colors. That's not really something that you have to do. So again, this is the white alcohol ink, and I'll put links to this down in the description of the video, along with the pigment inks that I use, or at least a similar kind. I couldn't find them recently when I looked, but I can link a similar kind to the one I use, along with the resin and face masks and everything that I use. So that one I actually thought looked really cool, and I'm just putting some resin on top just to kind of help mix and add to the effects that we'll see. So now these on day 2, I decided to just open them up and see what they looked like. So that's them dried the next day. So for these, I did actually end up putting a little bit of resin back on the back, but I was so excited to see what they looked like, I didn't do it this day. I waited. But you can see where the white ink really came through and how cool of an effect that is, and just how all the colors kind of combine and move as they dry and as the resin dries. So I really like that one. I really like the warm colors in there. And then this one, I ended up going back and adding some clear resin on the back also, just to help it firm up a little bit and give it a little bit more depth. But I really love the white that came through on that and how that really ended up. I thought that one was really cool too. So let me know which one was your favorite, or if you had multiple favorites, or if you have any requests on what I do next. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and like, and check out my Etsy store and my Instagram that are down in the description, as well as the links to the different products I use. I will see you next time.